We're heading out to the East Cape today to actually look at 2 beachfront properties, and wanted to catch you guys up on something. I just got back from a 3-day conference in Panama with global investors talking about where money is moving and why, and some smart plays in 2026. Gonna get into the infrastructure, be talking about Panama, Costa Rica, Mexico, and I want you guys to know what smart money is doing so that you're not just using the same old strategy. Times are changing, geopolitical tensions are rising, and people are reacting to that, and the money is following that. So stay tuned. I'm gonna tell you what was going down in Panama. So something that was very interesting was this conference was in Panama, and this was developers, investors, a couple of agents. And one of the larger developers in Panama had mentioned this, and I checked it. For the first time in 20 years, Panama has more international tourists, flight traffic coming in than Costa Rica does. You would assume that this developer would say, oh, it's because they have better beaches, better weather, whatever it is, better food. He said none of that. The reason that he said, the sole reason that Panama was getting more international travelers for the first time in 20 years was because of infrastructure. Panama has been very proactive with airports, roads, utilities, all this stuff. And because of that, they're being rewarded with more travelers. This was super interesting to me because if you look at Cabo, a lot of people will say that Cabo has the ability to be the Monaco of Mexico. And it certainly does. It just, the infrastructure needs to pick up. That was super eye-opening for me. And I hope Cabo will continue to upgrade its infrastructure as it's doing, like with the San Jose roundabout. Something else that was interesting too was institutional money moving into Latin America. And this has been very skittish in the past. So I would say for multiple reasons. And what I'm going to talk about is Argentina. And there's actually a hedge fund guy, Paul Singer, who went to battle over bonds, and it was not a pleasant. He ended up winning, but and it was a bet against Argentina defaulting, right? Now you're starting to see people actually go to Argentina, and part of this is the new president has a program that's RIGR, RIGI, and this is basically incentivizing institutional money, mainly American money, right, that cannot find the returns that it's used to finding over the past, 20 years since the last global meltdown in 2008. And they are lining up at the door to see what opportunities they can get in such a, country that's full of natural resources that if you go back, like World War II was one of the top economies in the world. The RIGI program is designed for investing 200 million or more. So you're starting to see people take these looks, right? And this is what this guy was saying from Buenos Aires, that the first time people are actually considering investing in areas like this because they see more opportunity, more upside than what they've been doing for the past 20 years, especially in markets that they used to think was too risky to get into. Something that was really interesting, and I actually got to be really good friends with this guy. He was a Canadian guy, about 50 years old. He had been in Caracas, Venezuela for since 2015, right? So he's been living in Venezuela for over 10 years, actually just about to get married. Me personally, I thought, there's just bullets flying and everything. And, he was kind of laughing about it. Clearly, a lot of news has been coming out of Venezuela lately with Maduro and possible regime change. And we'll be very clear, this was like, hey, the riskiest of the risk. Like nobody was doing anything other than gathering information on this. But there is the ability, one of the plays for Venezuela was beachfront land. And there's an island off the coast of Venezuela. And something that was super interesting, really the only tourism that's going into Venezuela right now is Polish and Russian. You can't even get a visa. That's slowly changing right now. Actually, he was joking that he was having a hard time getting his mom and his sister a visa for the wedding that was happening in 2 weeks, right? But things are changing and there's optimism there. This was clearly more of a speculative and more of an information gathering, but you're starting to see people actually like look at this. I just thought it was interesting, not to necessarily invest, but just to investigate. And the thing that I found very interesting was like, hey, if you're getting something there, you're going to go for the beachfront land. You're not going to go for like these like really cheap parcels like inland. You're going to get like the land banking long-term type thing. So just interesting to hear somebody that was on the ground in Venezuela. And I hung out with this guy for 3 hours and just kind of picking his brain and catching up. That was very interesting to hear, especially coming from some Canadian that most people, would think you'd be absolutely nuts to be living there. Next up was replacement cost and being able to buy below that. And this was particular in markets where people were doing scouting. Instead of doing the same old thing, like you have a lot of people that their investment abroad might be buying a property and putting it on Airbnb. And I believe you're starting to see that strategy. It's not as effective as it once was. Now, this depends on where you are. But at the end of the day, if you can buy below what it costs to build in areas where there are opportunities, there's a bull market somewhere in the world all the time, right? And in this particular instance, they were saying in Paraguay, where you can actually buy existing properties in, like capital cities that have economies at below replacement costs. And this is replacement costs. Why do you think insurance is rising so quick in the US with inflation and building materials and all this? It's getting much more pricier to build stuff. So your insurance premiums keep going up because that's based upon the replacement cost. So if you can buy something below that, is for like the US market, but everybody's looking everywhere right now. So there's not that many opportunities. People have already found it. Institutional money, wealthy people are sitting on, dry powder right now. They're trying to put money to work and they really can't make a lot of the stuff that they've been doing pencil in. Back to Paraguay, it was super interesting because Paraguay is using tax incentives. So if you had to look at probably the 3 top countries in Latin America for good tax incentives, you're probably going to have Uruguay number 1. You're going to have Paraguay now, and then Panama to a certain extent, right? And Paraguay is incentivizing people to come there, income tax, capital gains taxes, all this stuff. So you think about where there's a lot of wealth, even in these countries like Venezuela or like in Argentina, like a Colombia, where these people, they used to be putting money, parking it into like condos in Miami, that was like the play. Now you're seeing a lot of this money, a lot of them were put into Panama and stuff, but now you're starting to see, hey, if I have a business in one of these countries and I can get residency there and claim better tax incentives, much like Portugal, right? But that was part of this conference, was that like, Europe's great and people love it, but from an investment standpoint, European real estate, it's tough. The opportunities are, I'm not going to say gone, but you're doing that more for lifestyle than actually making money. Of course, like people want the lifestyle, but like if you can have lifestyle and make money, then why would you overlook that? So once again, this is just, for me, it was very interesting because you're in the room with 300 people that you might think you're crazy thinking this alone, but they're all together trying to come up with good ideas, and they do have good ideas. People were investing on the spot there on where to put the money to work. So just seeing the power of a group that is honestly just kind of sick of the opportunities that they've been doing. And that's really the whole point of it. I think Latin America, with population growth higher than many developed nations, is something that's super interesting. You just have so many tailwinds, and there's risk with all of it, but this was just something that was very interesting. An attorney from Panama spoke, and he was talking about probate. So when you start talking about the type of people that were there, it's like generational wealth, right? So when you pass, you're passing this on to somebody, right? The great thing about the fideicomiso in Mexico is that you skip probate. So like a death certificate is needed. If it's a death certificate from the United States, it just needs to be apostilled. In Panama, they didn't have this set up, so you have to do probate, which goes through the court system. This attorney said that would take a year to a year and a half to change hands to the heir or the beneficiary, right? And that's a long time, right? So the great thing about owning in Mexico is that with the fideicomiso as a foreigner, you can do that relatively quickly and you get to skip the entire court system, which is a very good thing in the country of Mexico. So that was very interesting too. So if I'm coming back from this conference and I'm just trying to rank all of these countries, which I've just been told to do on the spot, so let me think about this. First, I'm obviously super bullish on Mexico. So I'm going to put that near the top 1 or 2. Now, when I start talking about Cabo, I'm super bullish, especially if the infrastructure is kept up. And I'm going to do another video on the infrastructure because there is a lot of money coming in through the real estate acquisition tax, which stays in the state for infrastructure. And if they do this, they can do a San Jose roundabout every year. And I'm talking about locals, tourist areas, everywhere can have this upwind if they're spending this money correctly. So I would say that Mexico and Panama would probably top the list. And Panama, to me, just seemed super steady. The developer was saying that Panama is essentially just growing at 6% a year. It's kind of boring, but you know, you have tax incentives. It's a strong economy. Clearly, Panama is much more of a flight than somewhere like Cabo. That's a great thing about Cabo. When I go to these conferences, it makes it so much easier. It's basically an extension of the United States from the point of view of catching flights, right? So I would put those. I would say if you're looking into Europe, something like Portugal would make a lot of sense. So a lot of people would say, you know, like they have these incentive programs for Italy where you can buy in these villages, but who's actually really doing that and why? But I think Portugal, you're starting to see a lot of backlash from the local population because they were doing these golden visas and then you could get the citizenship. And once you're in Europe and you have the citizenship, you could go everywhere. And I think you're starting to see it even more in Spain where there's way too much backlash going on and much more of a socialist government. So Portugal would be the play. In Europe, I would say that Paraguay was very interesting just to hear about it. I think Paraguay is on the rise and I think you're just going to hear more and more about it. It's a landlocked country and I think Asuncion is the capital and that was the play. Asuncion, stay in the capital and buy below replacement cost and you're just going to see a lot more Latin American money funneling there due to incentivizing investments from all around the world. And that's something that's super important. That's why Panama, I believe, is doing well. They were incentivizing it. People felt comfortable and they're using that money to do infrastructure. And then last, I would never say it, I'm super curious. I actually am very keen to go to Venezuela and I'm going to link up with John. I'm going to see if we can get visas. I'd love to do a video in Venezuela, but I would say that's like buying, crypto. It's kind of like just put the money on the side. And if you don't know what you're doing, this is like a very speculative thing, but you're talking about buying beachfront land. And I would never tell somebody to do it. I just found it super interesting that was even brought up. So when he was on stage, that was super interesting to me. And that's all I got. So hopefully you guys got something out of that. And I'm going to be doing a video on the infrastructure because I believe this is super important. We're going to get some hard data behind that. If you like this, let me know in the comments. We'll keep them coming. And thank you for watching.